Welcome back, Bump Lovers. It's lovely to have you. We're enjoying our engagement with you on all of our social media platforms. Last week we started, was it last week? No, just a few days ago we started to talk about the father that is involved. And today we have a 21st century hands-on dad, Michael Niyitegeka. Oh my gosh, I got that. Who you would consider your 21st century father, and here he is. We're happy to have you on the show today. Many Bump lovers have been asking us for a father.
Yes.
So like you're the first man on the show. Yes. And we see that you're so UG Bakulaba.
Yes.
Okay, so Michael, what influenced your current parenting style to be this involved with your children? And when we say involved, is like Pumla said, you're going to matches, you're taking children to hospital, where we expect to go and gossip as mothers.
At every event, that where may I exist as a mother, I find
where mothers think they're going to come to gossip, Michael is there. Like, so what influenced that for you?
Good question. I'm not sure that was. I can relate it to anything that this influenced me. It was more of a choice, if I could put it that way. That it was at the time when my wife was expecting, the level of involvement, trying to understand, reading stuff with her, if I could put it that way, paying attention to the little details that were coming through. That kind of got me a little bit closer. And my best man told me, says, the only way you're going to survive the competition when the babies come is when be involved. And that kind of stuck with me, because then
I know it's so true. Why don't people know this?
Yeah, he said, yeah, be involved, support where you can. Because I saw him doing it when their first daughter came. He was bathing her. I remember I bathed Joel when he was 2 weeks. Wow. Stayed with him. I think Mom had an assignment. We spent. So there are those, and it works. That because you get to appreciate. Your lives change when a child comes in, but also even during the 9 months, a lot of things change. Now, if you're not present, you are definitely going to find a changed person, and that shocks most of us. To be honest with you, and then you come, probably you want attention, but what is most critical at that particular time for your wife is not you, because you're an adult and you can take care of yourself. So I guess yes. So that for me seems to have been, and seeing them, I think you get attached, and you get to appreciate why mothers will tend to have very strong bond. So when you see them change, when you see them grow, when you see walk to them, talk to them, you have no choice but to be part of their journey.
So I like the fact that you say that it is a choice that you made, because I hear it all the time. Fathers are saying, no, they make the excuse that for them in their homes, that's not how they were brought up. So I like the fact that you've removed yourself from that stereotype and you've decided that you're an adult. I mean, you have a choice to make. You see somebody who needs help. You see somebody who you want to grow with. And you've just made the choice as a dad to be involved. So what I want to ask you mostly is hinged on, we went through a whole season of Mother's Day and everything. And it's clear in the world all over. People really love their moms. People are always thanking their moms for things, and yet Bambi dads do. Like, they have their carol. They do. When they do, they really do. Yes. So I want you to tell us, there is a whole atmosphere that people like to sell that, no, you can't take care of the child by yourself. And yet, personally, I feel that there are things men can give children, a father can give a child that I might not be able to. So I want you to speak to that. Are there things that you as a dad, you've seen in your home dynamic that maybe you're better suited to give to your children than maybe the mother or a woman in their life?
I think yes, and I guess there's a reason why it's husband and wife, or man and woman. There is a reason why it's that way. I feel the sense of security. You feel the sense of, we are safe. We're probably or safer with both being present. If mom delays somewhere, you get the sense of, is she okay? Is she not okay? If you delay, I mean, there are times when the kids will call me and say, are you okay? And I'm like, yes. What time are you coming? Yes. And I'm like, I'm on my way. Give me another 30 minutes. So that has brought a certain level of accountability. Yes. So I have to let them know I am off. I will probably be back at 9. And so 9:30, then probably the calls begin. Yes. You said 9, it's now 9:30. Yeah. But I like I think there was one aspect that it was about this whole life-work balance. Yeah. I think it was one of these American billionaires who said, in the entire article, there was one thing that caught my attention. And he says, there is nothing like work-life balance. There is everything like work-life choices. Oh, wow. And that's the only thing that I got. Yeah. That we are also that we are also that one. Yeah, work-life balance. It's a choice. Whether how and you choose how you want to be perceived or appreciated in the home. Yes. Because you could be present, but you're actually not present. Yes. You're physically present. Yes. Yeah. So things you're there and probably don't feel you. Yes. Okay. So you choose how you want to be in your children's life. You choose how you're going to be to your wife. Yeah. It's a choice. You can choose to be the guy who walks in, supplies, gives money, and walks away. Yeah. You can also choose to be the gentleman that will not feel embarrassed to walk to the kitchen and do stuff together. Yeah. It's a choice. Yeah. Now, we hear stories from the kids at school. They will tell you, my friend says the dad doesn't. I'm like, okay. So
yeah, and they talk.
What are they talking about you? And but that shouldn't really be the ultimate.
But it's something to think of.
Yeah.
Well.
Yeah. Yes. I guess in this, and one thing I've come to learn is that there's no template. I've also come to appreciate that each of the kids will appreciate you in a totally different way.
Yes.
Even your wife with different kids. So you find the times when you want to side, and she'll probably prop you up and say, but I think you're beginning to take sides.
Yeah, because daddies do that.
Yeah, and
with their girls.
Yeah. So
yes.
Oh
yes.
Okay. And sometimes it's really not something that you either consciously do, yes. But you probably, and especially if he's firstborn and the girl is secondborn, there are certain things that you probably just jump on and say no.
Give her.
But then the other day she walked to us.
So your daughter's secondborn, right?
Yes, okay. Michelle is secondborn. Joel is in high school, and so he had come back from school, and he was giving us all this jazz, and she walked to us and says, "I feel left out."
Oh, okay.
Wow.
Yeah, I feel left out.
She must be in this KB.
Yeah, because the message was loud and clear that I also have something to say. So it cannot only be about him because he's in high school. Yeah. And then you also have to make Joel understand that it can't only be him.
Yes, it can be about him.
And I guess that's the stabilizing effect that you tend to bring into the home as a dad or both parents, because let's face it, we're all working. We're 9 to 5, 8 to 5. The only time you get to see the children is probably 5 to 8.
Yes,
Because they go to bed.
Michael, with this evolution, women feel like this burden of parenting falls predominantly on them. How do you think men can make this easier for the women?
I think that there's one challenge that and it may be wrong or right, that whereas there is great effort in preparing the women, the girls for marriage, I think men learn on the job.
Sure.
And it really depends on which environment you're in and how hard the job is, I guess. But also, I look at marriage as a partnership that you've gone into. There were a lot of things that we discussed before marriage. I remember that we were talking about, okay, when this happens, how shall we deal with it? And it was more of a casual, really, conversation.
When things are still nice and
yeah.
sweet.
But then you see them acting out when actually now, the rubber hits the road. The things begin to play out. You begin to arrive home and you're like, okay, I'm now married. And you're like, wait a minute. So there's something that is not right here. And so how do we, again, it starts with the communication. I think, but also, and sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't work. What I've found working for me and for the two of us is it's really friendship. That we have a certain level of openness to each other. I am not happy that you're doing this, and I will not take it like you're nagging me in my head. I know it has come from a good place, and the intention is we can do better. If I see something, I'll probably share and say, but this is not coming out the way it should be coming out. And like I said, it's because of that friendship that I can have a sense of comfort to respond to issues
Do you believe that parenting and because we're saying how can we prepare our children? They say they prepare girls more than they prepare boys. The difference is I think they prepare them the same, just that the tasks are different. Boys are looking to their father, they walk like him, when security, protection, that is their part. Then us, we're on the other side. I think what's happening is that because women are shifting and taking on more of the daddy responsibilities, then they feel they need more help in this area. But if we all kind of
Default system.
I don't like this, Angie.
I know you don't. I'm saying if we first, let me just say, if we first go back, we reset and go back to the default mode. Mom is the nurturer, father is the giver, as in the protector and whatever. Then when we get to that level, then we have the discussion between, the two. Because I don't see how you can prepare somebody for something that, first of all, you don't know who you, I don't know.
But I think there could be maybe 60-70% to that effect, because there are, and I always tell my wife, I said, look, there are certain things that I think come off naturally from your side that I will probably not pay attention to. I'll give an example. Food. Probably she will pay attention the vegetables, what have you had today, what are you doing, this kind of thing, what fruits, and that kind of thing. I will probably be more of, is there food? Kind of thing. Have you had food? But she will go in with a little bit more of detail and guide, and then you learn from her and say, you can't have this 3 times a week. It's not right. You can't do this and that. But you can only do that if you're part of the conversation.
Yes.
If you're part of the conversation or you're present, like I've said, there's certain things that I know will come off naturally.
For a woman.
I know even when she's traveling, she will leave us like a schedule. Guys, and for me that works for me because you've sorted out a lot of things. Because when they know probably she's not around, that's a time to make the things. And because because you have arrived late, you're tired. Daddy, can we do this?
And we eat chips.
You quickly do the configuration. How much I have.
Let's do that.
But that sorts us out a lot of times. It sorts us out. So there are those aspects that come in naturally, and so you can't. So you need a fair balance of both.
Yeah.
I hear you actually. I just wanted to say I hear what Angie's saying, that I think it's important to first go back to default setting. And I like that he qualified his reason for being a hands-on dad. It had nothing to do with upbringing or background. He made a choice. But there are specific roles of a man in a home and specific roles of a woman in a home. And like you've said, that there are certain things that will come naturally to women and I guess to men alike. My question to you though is that, the children role or, raising children or bringing up children has primarily been, what's the word? A woman's job. And yet you have sort of taken on a bit of the mother role and a bit of the father role. So you're saying there's like a balance. I want to hear how you strike that balance without there being conflict. Because let me give you an example. So it's almost common knowledge that a woman deals, say, with maid issues. That's like her department, yeah? But you're a hands-on dad, so you're involved with the kids. You'll notice maybe if the kids' clothes are dirty, and maybe you might be prompted to tell the maid, but then it is the woman's thing. So how do you strike a balance between certain things that may come naturally to a woman without causing a bit of conflict in the hierarchy of the home?
I will say, Dad, rest in peace. He was not present, but present. I don't know how I can put it that way. He was. He would come and sort out those issues that need to be sorted out. Yes. Mom would say, Mike, you need to talk to Mike. And as I got into the teen years, 18, Dad bought me the first beer, and he said, I want you to get drunk in front of me. And I was even embarrassed. I was like, this man, what is he trying to do?
But was it your first beer?
It was.
Okay. No, I know dads who have bought their sons their first beers thinking it's their first beer. True. Because he said, you have turned 18, here is your first beer. And then the whole lecture went on. I still remember a lot of things he told me at that time. And so he came in, and as started growing up, going to university, then we started like getting closer. And like, I think now I have a lot of stuff to share with this young man.
Yes.
I need to nurture him. You need to respect your wife. I think up to the time when he passed on, he still asked my wife, he would ask, is he treating you well?
Yeah, that is preparing a man for marriage.
Yeah.
That is a difference.
Yeah. So he would come and they would have their own moments and is he treating you well? And I never got to know until he passed.
Let me ask Michael, that said, you had the talk when you were older, because I think the talk, but there were lessons you were learning all the way, meaning they were preparing you for this moment, isn't it?
True. One thing he told me is never talk back to your wife. Never. He says, you may be right, but never at any one time raise your voice.
Helpful.
I looked at him and I remember moments where I think he could have raised his voice, but he opted to keep quiet.
So he was telling you about it at 18, but you had seen the examples all the way.
So and for me, it brings me to modeling. What are we modeling?
What are your children seeing?
What are they saying? And I think to Rachel's question is maid issues and hierarchy. One of the things that I know, when my wife is around, I will report to her if it is something that probably I think needs her attention. Yes. But if it is something that we can resolve immediately, I will tell the maid, but this should have been done this way. So that it is very clear. When she's out or travel, whatever it is, and I see something, but it's not urgent, it's not a crisis, I will probably refer the message to her and say, if you get an opportunity, you can talk about this.
There's men who actually want to be a part of their children's lives. They really want to. But they're the CEO of Said MT, Said I don't know what. As if that's not enough, they are the head of Rotary Club of whatever. As if that's not enough, they have started on Daba, they're the businessmen. And they still want to be a part of this process. They want that when their child is not well, they can be in a hospital with their child. They can, take off all of these responsibilities, but those responsibilities are not going. They are not. They are there. What would you advise this father on? The rubber has hit the road. They have a board meeting, and their child is unwell.
I think you set the expectations. I remember there was a time when I would pick my son from school, and lunchtime, and everybody in the office knew 12:30.
He's out.
And even when it would get to 12:30, 12:45, they would say, Michael, you're not picking Joel from school.
What's that?
And I remember one time I dropped him home and he tells me, why are you not having lunch? I said, but I have lunch at the office. He says, but why can't you have lunch at home? Wow. And I was like, but I have to go. He says, but mom has lunch with me. I remember sitting.
Was mom working by then?
Yes, she was working. That time we were both working in Makere. And I said, and I sat in that car, almost standing to go. And I said, but what does it cost me?
To have lunch.
I was about really to, he asked me, he says, can we have lunch together? No, he said, come and have lunch. I said, I'm going to the office. They serve lunch. He says, but there's food at home. And I think he was like 6 or 7. I was like, but I have a meeting at 2. There was every reason for me to go back. And he said, no, come. I said, okay. I entered the house. I was about to turn, and my mind was like, what are you actually going to do? So I went to the house, had lunch with him, and at about 1:40, he said, Dad, aren't you getting late? So for him, it was the moment. I want to have lunch with you. It was the moment. And I can assure you, from then on, every time I picked him, I had lunch with him. Because
who brings this human being?
And for me, it was more of there is something that probably I was missing, and it would be quick lunch, snappy, run to office. But then also I then set an expectation in the office that 12:30, 12:45, I'm heading out. So it is possible to be a CEO. I'm in Rotary. There are many events that we go for, but again, you choose which events you're going to go for, what activities you're going to go for. There are roles I've turned down because they're probably going to take significant amounts of time from me. And I guess even as a CEO, I've seen senior Rotarians who are doing a great job with their children.
Children as well.
There will be something that will demand for your time. But the choice on where you put your effort is entirely up to you. Now, it also depends on where the position, organization that you're in, because that is critical. That is very critical. And that's why you can't have templates. But what I've also come to appreciate is that the children will quickly understand that this is not possible. This is possible. I drop the kids. When we bump into each other at school, it's when Muchala has called and says, can you pick Michelle from school or Joel from school? And I'll say, okay, my job is a little bit flexible. I manage my time. So I'll say, I'll go and pick. And a few things that we have agreed on and said, okay, if at least one of us should be with the kids at dinner, because the other things you may not be in control, but at least dinner, or at worst see them off to bed. Pray with them and see them off to bed. But so the guys who, I think for me, what
It's
spoke.
so calming, this atmosphere. Like some kind of utopia. Like, so this happened somewhere.
But you can't believe, from the conversation we're having, I get the feeling that, do you see how we all get so excited when we're coming home to see our kids? You mentioned it in the beginning. If you're in somebody's life all the time, then you really want to be with them all the time. So even with kids, if you're with them all the time, then you feel that urge. Like now, OJ, he would never say it for the boys. But he's like, I need to hang out with Koku. Oh, I mean with Asante. Because he has been more engaged. Exactly. That's so true.
And I guess sometimes it is in what they say and what they tell you that you know that you have been present or you're not present. And moments like birthdays are when I think I was taking Joel back to school. He says, I pray that I like you. Wow. And I looked at him and I'm like, so what is like, you pay attention, you've provided for us. I said, but I'm supposed to. He says, yeah, but we can't take it for granted. Yeah. I'm looking at this 11-year, 12-year man telling me you can't take it for granted. Yeah. So it's those words that are coming back at you that you say, okay, this was worth it. It was worth it. It was worth it. Yeah.
We learned two wonderful beauty, not just for the men, but also for the women. Two qualities today, and that's choice and managing expectations. For many of us who have been wondering this work-life balance, today we get the answer: work-life choice and managing expectations. So you as a dad, wherever you are, we want to encourage you as mothers that we need you in our lives, but so do your children. And today, as bump love mothers and bump lovers, we wish you a wonderful rest of the week, and I'd like to say thank you so much, Michael, for representing the dads who are hands-on, and encourage even more dads to love our bumps.